Hello, political ecology class, and welcome to my commodity challenge. First of all, I'd like to talk to you guys a little bit about how this experience started for me. I wasn't too worried about this challenge, actually, especially compared to our food stamp challenge last quarter. Something I was already kind of aware of was the corn and soy content of so many of the processed foods that are available to us now. So I already try to avoid those things, so I thought to myself that this would be pretty easy. I did also start out by doing some initial meal planning, which I thought would be really helpful, rather than just trying to grab and choose from stuff that is already in my pantry or in my refrigerator. So I made note of the things that I had, looked at things that may have corn or soy content, and then just tried to avoid those things. So my first day, I had a fruit, veg, and yogurt smoothie for breakfast, which is a pretty normal thing for me to have. I have that almost daily, other than maybe an omelet or an egg thing from time to time. Also had some toast, other fruit, tea, and then a spinach pear salad for dinner. So that was kind of my first day, and it was really easy. I felt great. I ate the things that I normally would eat, and didn't have any issues with energy level or calorie intake or anything like that. Felt great. Second day, same thing. I did smoothie in the morning again. And Blake and I both kind of decided that fish would be a really great thing to maintain throughout this kind of period, because something that we know doesn't have corn and is just healthy to eat in general anyways. So we did salmon burgers that night and had some sauteed blanched spinach and some yummy homemade tartar sauce that I did with very simple ingredients. And the one thing I noticed when I made the tartar sauce is that I tried to double check with the like mayonnaise that I use. So I usually try to get a mayonnaise that has non-hydrogenated oils in it. But after looking at this, I'm pretty sure there was probably some soy product, the very fine print and like the very, very last ingredients for that product. So that was a slip up on my part, that I just was kind of a mindless thing in the moment, where I figured it was made from, I was like, oh, it's olive oil and eggs. And then, of course, eggs as well is one of those things that can have soy. So that was a slip up on my part, and was something I wasn't even really aware of or cognizant of until the following day. Next day, I again did smoothie and coffee as normal, and I had some leftover raviolis for lunch, which were a spinach cheese ravioli, and had no issues there. And then again did a fish item for dinner, so we had rockfish that we just did a simple breaded it with Ezekiel's, and that doesn't have any corn product in it. It's all sprouted grains, but no corn. And that turned out great. So all in all, the project wasn't difficult, but I did catch myself maybe not really I'm not really knowing things like eggs that I usually enjoy eating for breakfast. I tried to avoid. Even knowing that I could perhaps go to the farmer's market and talk to the farmer and ask them specifically what they feed their animals. So that's definitely something I avoided, was things like eggs and other meat products that I normally would enjoy. And I try not to get items that are corn-fed, but that's something you just really never know. And so I think for me it was just easier to avoid. I did do the majority of our veg and staple shopping at the farmer's market, but I didn't get the fish there, and I figured that was a safe bet. Although now they are coming out with farmed salmon and they're feeding them corn, so oh god, but I never buy farmed salmon. So I already told you about what I consumed and how I didn't necessarily change what I would normally consume. I maybe just avoided things that I would kind of maybe more mindlessly eat and not really pay attention to. And it was not really surprising to me the amount of corn products that are in things. This is something that I've been kind of very aware of, and especially with the way that we subsidize those specific crops. And now that they are in such huge abundance, we're having to use them. And of course, processed foods is where you see them the most. And now, of course, in our feed for our livestock. So I think the reading probably was what struck me the most. Maybe not necessarily having to go through this in my own life, because it's something that I already try to avoid. But just getting the raw facts about it is just kind of mind-blowing and a little bit appalling. And overall, I think that this just made me even more cognizant of those things, and I will be much more apt to communicate with others about it, and maybe ask the question, what's really in this, or why even. I think that's a question that a lot of people don't ask, is why is this ingredient? And then they read the ingredient lines and they think, oh, okay, well, that sounds okay. They may not necessarily ask why it's in there when it doesn't really need to be. And as far as what our livestock is fed, that, for me, being someone who personally wants to raise livestock, I think it's really sad that we are even changing not only our own diets, but now we're beginning to change the diets of the animals that we take care of, basically because there's just so much of this commodity. So yeah, overall, great experience. Heck of a lot easier than the food stamp challenge. But I think it was a great learning experience. And I think I'm going to continue to try to maintain these standards, maybe not as stringently. I love my eggs. I try to buy them at the farmer's market as much as I can, but even those may have corn from time to time. So yeah, good stuff. See you all later.